Hey everybody, it's Zach from Proclockers, and today we will be reviewing the Tecware Phantom RGB 104 key keyboard. We recently looked at the 87 key version of the Phantom keyboard by Tecware, so this one's going to differ a tad bit. It's bigger and includes a numpad. That's why it's 104 keys instead of just 87. When it comes to these two separate keyboards, it's really something of personal preference. I personally prefer not to have a numpad. Both are within similar price ranges. I think the 87 key is $10 or $15 less than the 104 key. Again, personal preference there. You will be paying a bit more for the 104. So let's quickly run through some specs on the Tecware Phantom RGB. This has modular switches. This is very similar to the 87 key keyboard and pretty much any mechanical keyboard you're gonna find in the market. Modular switches basically means you can take the keys off very easily and put them back on. This is to clean your keyboard. Perhaps you drop crumbs or dust or something gets in your keyboard. You can easily remove all your keys in no time at all and put them back on with no problem. The keyboard features SMD LED and fiberglass PCP. That basically means your LEDs are going to last a lot longer than they usually would in a typical RGB keyboard, and the buttons are made out of fiberglass PCP, which means those will also last longer. They won't chip as bad, or they won't even deteriorate as bad as some other mechanical keyboards on the market. This is something, if you're a fan of Tecware or you know their products from reviews and stuff, you know that they tend to try to elongate the lifespan of their products. We will see through this review and even going down the specs list in a minute that Tecware has really taken to making the Phantom keyboard a keyboard that will last you a long time. Nobody likes to just purchase a keyboard and have to buy a new one 2 years later. The fun in purchasing a keyboard would be maybe your first keyboard, setting it up for the first time, but after that, a keyboard's pretty essential and you don't want to be buying these every 2 years. And I think Tecware is making good steps into making sure these keyboards last up to 5 to maybe 7 or 8 years instead of just 2 or 3. The Phantom features a double shot keycap, which basically means the underside of the key fit into the keyboard multiple times without it deteriorating. I know a lot of keys on keyboards, after you clean them, take the keys off up to 10, 20 times, they'll even start to deteriorate a little bit. They'll still fit, but they'll sit loose on the keyboard. Sometimes they won't even sit. I like to compare it to a screw and screwdriver. When you got the wrong screwdriver, but you really want to get a screw out of something, and you try to get it out, it wears down the head of the screw and you're pretty much screwed from there on out. So Tecware has made sure to double shot the keycaps, so when you constantly take them off, to clean your keyboard, the recommended like twice a month, or if you're really into cleaning keyboards once a week or so, that when you put them back on, they'll stay on and they'll be just as tight as when you pull them out of the package. The keyboard features multiple lighting effects. This mainly pertains to the RGB found in the keyboard. There's a lot of different lighting modes and a lot of different colors. You can make the RGB lights under your keys. There's even a manual way you can do this. If you hold the function key and hit the RGB key, there's a M1 through M6 to change the lighting modes, basically the breathing effects, the tidal waves, the stuff that you can make RGB keyboards do. You can do this manually by pressing the function key and the RGB key, and even going M1 through M6. If you're not a fan of doing that stuff manually, there is also a Tecware software you can download, which is pretty extensive. It has a bunch of different lighting modes. You can even program in macros, and there's this really cool program where you can load up different profiles for different game genres like FPS, MMORPG. It'll basically light up the keys that are mostly used in those game types. For FPS, you would use the WASD keys, so they would be lit up red. The keyboard features a braided USB cable, which I'm a huge fan of. I think every USB cable should be braided now. They don't tangle and they're really hard to break because they're really tight cloth. It features a USB 3.0 braided cable, which I'm always a fan of. So those are the specs and everything. My initial thoughts of the keyboard is the overall quality really shows through from Tecware products, especially in the Phantom keyboards, both of them, the 87 and 104 key versions. They feel like they are top of the line, Corsair keyboards, stuff you'd find in the $100 to $120 range, at a mid-range price of $40 to $60, depending on which of the keyboards you get. That says a lot about the keyboards themselves. They feel like structurally they are on par with something in the over $100 range, maybe $100 range itself. And with the longevity of the features that Tecware put into this keyboard, such as the double shot keycaps, like I mentioned, the braided USB cable, and so on and so on, you're looking at having this keyboard, if you take the necessary steps to keep it clean with the modular switches and everything, you're looking at keeping this keyboard for at least 5 years, if not more. I'd say even up to 6 or 7 if you really keep it nice and clean. Whereas other mechanical keyboards, you might lose a few keys, or they might break, or the keycaps might fade so they don't sit properly on your keyboard. There's a lot of things Tecware made sure to do with their product to make sure you're getting your money's worth out of this product. Now, I would recommend this product to possibly somebody first building their first PC, because it is a mid-tier, more of a budget range keyboard. You're not gonna spend over $100 for this thing, but you will get the quality of one around the $100 range. And I think it's a good starting point for most first PC builds, because you do get the RGB that everybody loves. You get the braided USB cable and pretty much the longevity of it. You won't have to look to buy a new keyboard in 2 years or so because you cheaped out on a keyboard from Walmart, you know. I would also recommend this to somebody who has recently maybe broken a keyboard or lost a keyboard. That happens. I know saying it sounded stupid, but I've lost a few keyboards in my day. Or perhaps your keyboard's just too old to keep on going. I have a very old Corsair keyboard. I got passed down from my brother, who had it for like 3 or 4 years, and it's missing keys. It's seen a good few years on it, so I would recommend upgrading to one of these. It may seem like a downgrade in price range, but you will get the same quality as something. If you're used to using $100 keyboards, you will see that here in Tecware, and you'll have all the customization there as well with the Tecware software. But yeah, I really like the Tecware Phantom RGB keyboards. Big shout out to Tecware for sending them. If you guys would like to see the full written review, which goes into a little bit more details about the keyboard itself, it'll be on Proclockers, which is in the description below the website. And you can watch the Tecware 87 key keyboard video on Proclockers YouTube channel. Speaking of the YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a comment. There's a little hair. I'll be responding to comments, probably. I will see you guys in the next review. Thank you for watching.